personally meet and they talk about how to write a good answer, right? This is a very important things, writing answer, because this is the key. Answer writing is a key to enter in UPSC. Because if you see, out of 75 marks, 50 marks are dedicated to men's. So you have write lots of paper, right? You have write 4 GS paper, you have to write optional paper, right? 2 optional paper, then you have to write also only 1 optional paper that has 2 paper, then essay. Now today I'll focus on GS paper. If you see answer writing session, how to write a good answer, there are some criteria that we think about. There are some criteria that we should keep in mind while we write answer, right? First thing is, question itself. Question itself, right? The second things that we need to keep in mind that, balancing the answer. I'll talk about one by one. Let me write few things. Balancing the answer. Third is, example. Example, right? Fourth is, language. And fifth is presentation. Right, these are the few criteria. First and foremost things that we need to understand question. Right? If you, correctly catch the answer or intention of the question, then you can write a better answer. If you don't get, the question, your writing may, divert to the directly answer to the question, and you end with something, different, and you won't get good marks. So intention of the question must be, you must know what is actually asked, and write answer in only what question is asking from you. Don't demonstrate your knowledge, don't demonstrate your content, whatever you know, because you know that, during preparation we study a lot, we, develop a lot of content. That's fine, but you need only answer to the question, not less, not more. Not less, not more. Only you need to know what is asked and that you answer that. Fine. So sometimes what happens, question is has asked about, for example, last year question was, what is the aims and objective of SEO, right? And what is India's role in current time? So question is directly, right? Question is totally direct, aims and objective of SEO, right? So write aims, objectives, and India's role in SEO, nothing else, right? Then if you see the questions, there are many questions which has several parts. For example, a question may have 2 parts, a question may have 3 parts, 4 parts, right? Or 3 parts, 2 parts generally. Or there are questions which directly asked in a one-liner question, right? Or one sentence questions. But if you find question has several parts, then you need to answer all the part in equal manner, right? you need to answer all the part in equal manner, that is balancing the answer. For example, if any question has 3 part, right, so you need to answer 3 part equally, right? You should not devote your entire or most of the time on part 1 and part 2 and have only, given less importance to the third part, C. So if the question has 3 sections, right, just you have to answer all the 3 part, right? Now, while writing answer, you need to give example, right? Very important. There are 2 kind of example. One is, you can give example of, one sentence, one word. For example, in polity, if you're writing answer, then, for example, you must mention article of the Indian Constitution, right? Section of IPC, if you know, or CRPC, if you know any court judgment, then you must mention, right? So example is very important. Example is very important, and only put example in support of your writing answer rather than, right? And don't give too many examples, right? 2, 3 examples are, right, sufficient, and then you just analyze it, write it in a better manner. So example is important. Sometimes what happens, you have to give example in a logical manner. For example, you have to give example in such a way that you need to write one line, right? And that line must be logical, reasonable, right? Rather than, you should not write in any other manner. So example is very important. Third is language. When you start writing, you just introduce the thing, and then your coherency is very important. Coherency is very important, right? But in Hindi called pravah, right? There should be coherency. So most important point, then important point, then important, then important point. There should be some, some relationship, right? So first, para, or if you're writing in pointer wise, so first point should be relation have with the second point must have relation with the third point point must have the fourth point, right? And then fourth point must have relation with the fifth point, and gradually you should proceed and then write conclusion, right? So coherence is very, very important, right, for any answer. Now, fourth is presentation. What is presentation? Presentation means 2 things here, right? Presentation means 2 things here. One is, a structure of your answer. And secondly, you should use some map, some data, some statistics, some report. For example, if there are Niti Aayog report, if there are some, World Bank report, if Human Rights Commission report, if any report, so economic survey data, any data, if right, you must mention, right, what is your source of data, what is the source of knowledge, right, that you must mention, right? So that is, first is a structure, and second is, some, again here you can call example, maps, data, right, facts, reports. Now let me here come to the structure, a structure of your answer. While you write answer, let me talk about a structure of the answer. A structure is normal, for every writer. A structure is normal. For example, while we write answer, here is introduction, right? Then you have to write body, and thirdly you have to write conclusion. Or if there are some questions, which includes way forward. Way forward. So first you put way forward, then come to the right conclusion. Right, so you put way forward first and then right conclusion. Right, so that should be a structure: introduction, body, and then conclusion. Right, sometimes you need to write about way forward. So write way forward and then come to right conclusion. Right, it is very important. For example, if you starting introduction for any questions, for example, any questions you take, last year there was a question about constitutional morality is rooted in the Indian Constitution, right? And explain the doctrine of constitutional morality with the help of recent judicial decision. Now introduce with very basic idea. Any question could be, right? So basic idea about your answer, right? About your theme. So here I have given you one example. Question was, the first question in the paper second was about constitutional morality. So write about what is constitutional morality, right? When Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, talked about constitutional morality in Constitutional Assembly, right? And then address the body. So first is write about basics in introduction, right? Idea, right? Date, information, any information you have, basic information that you must include in introduction. Introduction must start with some basics knowledge, nothing else, right? Secondly, now you come to the body. Now there are many students who confuses whether they should write in pointer wise or paragraph wise. There are two ways you can opt both, depends on you, but I prefer to suggest people to use pointer wise, right? So for example, body should be direct address to the question. Your body should direct address the question. The body should direct address the question. And how much point you should write? For example, if question is 10 marker, right? Then in 10 marker, you should give, 7, 8 point, right? 7 to 8 points you can give. That's a maximum, not more than that, right? If nature of question allow you to make some pictorial demonstration, if nature of question allow you to make some pictorial demonstration, you make it. You point, you draw a picture. For example, I talked about one question that is constitutional morality is rooted in Constitution itself and is founded on its essential facets. Explain the doctrine of constitutional morality with the help of relevant judicial decision. I'll come to this question. Now this question, gives you a space or opportunity to, demonstrate the idea of constitutional morality. So you must, constitutional morality. So students should, depict what is constitutional morality, right? If examiner see the question, the picture, they should understand what does it mean, the constitutional morality. Right. So, for example, when we define constitutional morality, then you must write, the spirit of the Constitution, or constitutional ethos or spirit. Then, for example, preamble, right? Then, DPSP. Then, right to equality. Right to equality, right? Then, freedom, freedom of religion, right? Then you can, right? You can write many things here. There are space to map, draw a map. Now, you can draw map before the body or after the body. It's up to you, right? And better if you draw in between somewhere, or before the body, and then you write conclusion. If answer give you way forward, right, then you must way forward, put way forward, and then conclusion. Depends on the question to question. Depends on question to question. Somewhere you can put also diagram. Then you also can give some data. For example, you can put maps. You can give certain reports. Some statistics if then you can give, right? So that you can analyze, right? And you can write. Now, if you see that I have explained few things here, that what are the parameters to write answer, and parameter is to understand question first. Secondly, balance the answer. If question has 3 part, 2 part, you should write accordingly. Then you must give an example, right? And then you must be coherent in writing. And then last, presentation, right? Last is presentation. Your your structure of the answer should be good, and you put some map, some diagram, some data, some facts, some reports, some right that you can put. And entire things you should do practice. How it will come? It will come through a practice, right? Nobody nobody born with everything learn, right? They learn here on the earth. They learn from their mentor. They learn from their peers group. They learn from the topper's notebook, right? Answer writing style. Practice is very important, and you just do practice, right? When students ask me, sir, how to write a good answer, I say do practice, because this is very important. This is very important, right? Practice, and then when you write your answer, show to someone, right? Show to your mentor, show to your your friends, your senior, right? Anyone you can show, and then you analyze it, okay? And practice, through practice you can achieve to how to write a good answer. Let me tell you one more thing. If you know more content, but if you don't know how to write, then you can't write, right? So you need to know also content, but also need to understand the question. You need to know how to balance the answer, right? You need to know how to put examples in between. Then you should also be coherent, and then your presentation should be good. So this is one way that you can learn how to write a good answer. One more thing I would like to share with you, that let's come now. This is about one answer, writing one answer. Now when you go to the examination hall, there are question paper with you and limited time. So you have question paper. For example, you have in GS paper, you have to attempt all. Now you know content, right? But if you are unable to manage time, there is no use of content. there is no use of content. For example, you have written out of 20, 10 a very good answer. But next 10 answer, in the next 10 answer, you have not written a good way, right? There is no meaning. If you have sufficient time, but you don't have content, no meaning of time, right? So you have to balance the time and content. And how it will come? It will come through, again, now practice. It will come through the practice, right? And practice is very important, right? There is a very biased saying like practice makes a man perfect. Practice makes everyone perfect, right? There are many philosophers, there are many scholars, there are many people who do practice and achieve this capacity. It's not that it is an exclusive one, it is something which cannot be achieved. It can be achieved. And let me tell you one thing: if you write better, you will acquire good marks, right? But if you don't write better, it doesn't matter what do you know, right? It doesn't matter what do you know. For example, if you go to the examination hall, right, you get answer sheet. You get answer sheet and it is a blank paper. It is a blank paper, right? How do the examiner will know you and your idea, your knowledge, right? That through answer. Through your answer, the examiner will know you, who are you, whether you are competent for UPSC, or for bureaucrat, for ambassador, for IAS or IPS, or you're not. So your answer writing is key. Answer writing is key. So if you see the answer sheet is a blank paper, and the examiner, and it depends on entirely your presentation, your all style that I have talked about, entire thing, and about through the answer. The examiner will know your personality, know your integrity, know your knowledge, know your capacity or capability through the answer writing, right? So that is about answer writing, how to write a good answer. Let me summarize it again, right? Let me summarize it again. Now I'm just putting another diagram. I always told my student to do practice, write a lot, because when you start doing preparation, you develop lots of content. One more thing I would like to share about you: when you develop content, you must keep syllabus with yourself, and you also must keep question paper. Two things is very important in order to develop the content, so that you can understand what content I should develop. So you entire year, or year and a half, or 6 months, you develop content about your GS paper, content about your optional, right? And essay comes out of this. There's I don't think there's a need for separate preparation. There's a need for separate classes for essay. No. If you study this GS and optional, right, that would be sufficient to write essay paper. So your content must be based on syllabus. And on each theme or each topic, your content should include some basic idea, right? Some basic characteristics, salient features, and what is happening now, some updated data, right? Some updated fact that you do in your preparation, right? Now that you should do, and then when you write answer, keep, few things in mind. For example, again, what is asked, what is the question? You must try to understand what is the question, what question is asking or trying to ask from you, right? Only write that only, right? What happens when examination hall, you feel, okay, I know the theme, and then I start writing, and at the end you deviated entirely from the writing answer. So understand what is question. Secondly, I told you that balance the answer. Balance the answer. So if the question have 3 part or 2 part, give equal amount of content to each part, because examiner wants to know, or UPSC wants to know all 3 parts from you, not only 1 part, right? So balance the answer. Then again, give the example, use example, right? For example, if you're writing about IR, and if there is some treaty, some agreement, you must write it, right? Some agreement, some some treaty, some organization, some institutional mechanism, right? Now you must write it. If you're writing about polity, you must mention article of the Constitution. You must mention IPC, right? Indian Penal Code, or CRPC section, right? Then you must mention some co-judgment, right? So give example, right? And fourth is your coherence. You must mention it, you must need it. And if someone will give me chance, okay, which one is the most important out of this all, I'll go for the coherence. If your answer is coherent, it will attract the reader. It will attract the reader, and reader will read it, right, and will mark it. Right? So coherence is very important. And fifth is your presentation, which is very important, right? And in presentation, you need to keep to mind the structure of answer. Again, I have told you that structure contains 3 parts: introduction, right, body, and then way forward, conclusion. Depends on nature of the question. For example, if you see the paper 3, if the question is from economics, then you need to know, give data, right? Some statistical data, some graph, some something. But if there is a question from geography, then you need to draw the map, and then draw the things. If the question is from IR, then you put agreement, right? You can. So here you can give also maps, agreement, then data, facts, you mention, right? So when you write a structure, intro, second body, right, and third way forward or conclusion. If there's a way forward, you must write way forward and then conclusion. For example, in history, when you're writing paper 1, right, in paper 1, if you're writing answer to the any question from history, for example, if they are asking from art and culture, or asking from certain facts about Mughal Empire, you cannot give way forward, right? How can you put Mughal Empire? Through map you can show, right? So you can put maps, so you can use this all way to write good answer. Now let me write few questions, and then I will write answer, right? And with that I will end the session. Now let me write few questions, and then I will answer accordingly what I have told you that. Let me write few questions. Question is about constitutional morality. Constitutional morality is rooted in the Constitution itself, and is founded on its essential facets. Explain the doctrine of explain the doctrine of constitutional morality with the help of relevant judicial decision. With the help of relevant judicial decisions. Now here I'm just pointing out all 5 points. Now first, try to understand the question. And question is about constitutional morality. There is no confusion here, right? Constitutional morality rooted in the Constitution itself, and is founded on its essential facets. Now, what are the essential facets of the Indian Constitution? Constitutional morality are dependent on that, right? The constitutional morality is based, depends on the essential constitutional facets of the Constitution, right? So this is the first part. Second part, explain the doctrine of constitutional morality with the help of relevant judicial decision. Now, first part is clear. Second part asking, explain the doctrine of constitutional morality with the help of judicial decision. Especially it is asking to give some judicial judgment, Supreme Court judgment, and which talks about constitutional morality. So first you try to understand question. If question is clear, now look at the balancing. Now this was, I think, 10 marker. This was a 10 marker. So 5 marker, you should hear, right? 5 marker and then 5 marker, right? 5 marker and 5 marker. Then now we can start writing. What is constitutional morality? Now you can write constitutional morality I'm writing intro, right? A structure. Constitutional morality refers to act as per the spirit of the Constitution. A spirit of the Constitution, right? A spirit of the Constitution, right? Because it is supreme in Indian polity. Because it is a supreme in Indian polity, right? In the Constituent Assembly, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was the first who gave importance to the idea right, of constitutional morality. Now we have given 2 lines as an introduction. Now done. Introduction is enough. Now come to the body part. Now it is asking what are the constitutional facets? What are the essential of the constitution which also constitute constitutional morality, right? So you can start constitutional morality. Morality is based on following thing. Following aspects of the Indian Constitution. Aspects of the Constitution. What are the aspects? You know, right? You know, number of things. First, it depends on preamble, right? Which declares India as sovereign socialist, secular, democratic, and republic, right? And it secures justice, equality, and liberty, right? And promote fraternity among all. And fraternity among all. So that is the first point. Now come to the second. Right? That it is also based on fundamental rights. And DPSP. What Granville Austin, you can quote what Granville Austin called the conscience of the Indian Constitution. Science of the Indian Constitution. Right? Right. It preserves equality, right, and follow the principle of non-discrimination. Here you can put example, Article 15, Article 14, right? Now, third, you can put, it is also based on the idea of social justice that is there in the Indian Constitution, based on rule of law and idea of social justice. Idea of social justice. Now, one more point I'll go, because it is only a 5.5 pointer. Now we need to write few judgment, right? Now it is also based on you know, the constitutional ethos. Like universal franchise. Right? And political equality. Now, that is the first part over. Don't need to focus more time. Now come to the second part. Now the doctrine of constitutional morality, right? You can write in the recent time, the Supreme Court has emphasized on the doctrine of constitutional morality. Right? Since 2014, the Supreme Court has given several judgments and defined the term constitutional morality, right? In Naj Foundation case, and later on in Navtej Singh Johar case, the Supreme Court, differentiates constitutional morality with public morality. The Supreme Court declared Indian Penal Code IPC 377 unconstitutional and had given rights to LGBTQIA, right? In Nalsa case also, in the case of Nalsa, the Supreme Court given recognition to the third gender, recognition to transgender as third gender, right? And it followed constitutional morality. Right? In Manoj Narula case, the Supreme Court, has given importance to constitutional morality, right, over criminalization of politics. Right? So this is board, you need to write in on paper a very, very clear so that, right, examiner can read it. Fine, right? In Sabrimala case, now you change the para and write in Sabrimala case, the Supreme Court allowed women to enter into temple to enter into Ayappa temple, right? And given direction to the state to follow constitutional morality, to the state to follow constitutional morality. Fine, right? Okay. However, constitutional morality, right? However, Attorney General K. Venugopal criticized the concept of constitutional morality. Criticized the term constitutional morality. He said that the idea must die. Idea must die. Otherwise, the judiciary would be the third chamber of the parliament. Would be third chamber in the parliament. Okay. Whatever it may be, right? But it is a very important constitutional morality is an important idea to protect constitution and people, right? So that should be, you should write in a such way. That's all. Now, so you see, you will have written the answer. We have given equal importance to the both the part, right? And then we have given example, right? You can draw a map here, right? Just above the, in between about the constitutional morality, right? Just about like this, constitutional morality, and then you can give few points, right? You can show what is about constitutional morality, right? So we have, and you can see, and language. You can write a language that would be coherent, and there should not be grammatical mistake. There should not be a spelling mistake, right? And you see the structure we have given, and we have put some, also some map diagram that about this, right? You can draw the map. So this way you should write answer. Second, for example, let me take the other example again from the last year GS paper 2, right? Question is to what extent in your view the parliament is able to ensure accountability of the executive in India. Yeah, that was the question in 2021. Now it's asking about your opinion. First thing, don't write the parliament accountability. No, in what extent your view, right? To what extent, in your view, the parliament is able to ensure accountability of the executive in India? Now, here you need to understand the question. It is asking your view, right? To what extent parliament has ensured the accountability of the executive in India, right? So you don't need to write the answer of the parliament is able to ensure accountability of the executive in India. No, it is asking about your view. Now here you can start with basic idea, information. For example, we need to write introduction, right? You need to write introduction first. So, you should write, for example, parliament is a, highest institution of participation, deliberation, lawmaking, and an institution of accountability, right? It ensures accountability through few mechanisms, right? Few mechanisms which are following. Now, what are the mechanism? Mechanism is parliamentary committee. Parliamentary committee, right? Second is opposition. Second is opposition. See, third is no confidence motion. Right? And apart from three, there are many, few more parliamentary measures like zero question hour, 0 hour, right? These are the few measures through which parliament ensures account. Now it is asking about your view. Now, what about parliamentary committee? You need to write. For example, there was only one parliamentary committee, that is called PSC. Right. Later on, there was another parliamentary committee, for example, parliamentary committee for estimate committee, undertaking committee, right? Then you can see the DRSC, Department Related Standing Committee, that came later. So there are few committee, right? Apart from this, there are also many committee like Rules Committee, Ethics Committee, right? And this committee plays a very important role to ensure the parliament. In recent time, if you see, before 2014, if you see there used to be a parliamentary committee which scrutinized too much, and most of the bill used to go to the parliamentary committee, but in the recent time it has declined. Right? So now that is, you have to write. Then opposition. Opposition has also played a very important role in order to ensure accountability of the government. Why? Because it is the opposition which ask question from the government, which is a vigilant over the government's action, right? Questions government policy, right? Questions and proposes alternative idea. Right, it also scrutinizes government budget, criticizes government budget. Now, if you see in opposition in India, it has remained weak. For example, till 1969, there was no opposition. But after that, there was opposition. But since 2014, there is no opposition in Indian Parliament, right? And opposition is fragmented. Now, if you see opposition, then you can see the opposition has played a very important role, but recently in the last few years, its role has been fragmented, very, less. Now come to no confidence motion. Now, you can write about no confidence motion, then you can write about 0 hour question hour, right? You can give some data about how, for example, ordinance are, issuing frequently, then member of the parliament sitting are going down, then it is a question hour that was suspended during the COVID-19. Then if you see, right, that there are mixed response of the parliament, but however, it played a very important role in ensuring the parliament, accountability of the government. Now that you need to write, right? So that is the second question we have done. So you must keep in mind something, some basic criteria about writing answer. So here that our purpose was to need to write answer, how to write answer. So I talked about the basic qualifier to write a good answer. Then I also talked about few things, and then practice is very important, my dear. Practice is very important. If you are not doing practice, right, then all are the futile, right? Everything is a gossip if you are not writing. So writing makes everyone perfect. Write it and write a good answer. So to someone, take the direction from them and learn it. This is all that we can learn, we can develop gradually. Right? It doesn't come in one day. Right? Fine. So that's all for today. Thank you so much.